Okay, let's get right into it. A massive piece of legislation has just arrived, and it's pretty much set to redefine the entire future of artificial intelligence. We are, of course, talking about the European Union's landmark AI Act. Now, don't think for a second this is just some European issue. No, this is the world's first ever comprehensive law for AI, and its ripple effects are going to be felt everywhere, across the globe. So whether you're building AI, selling it, or just using it in your business, these are new rules you're absolutely going to want to understand. So what is this new rulebook really all about? Well, at its heart, it's about one thing: trust. The EU wants to build a space where AI innovation can boom, but not at the cost of our safety or our fundamental rights. And, this quote from the act itself just nails it. You can really see the balancing act they're going for. On one side, you have human-centric and trustworthy AI, and on the other, a high level of protection. It's all about putting up some clear guardrails for this incredibly powerful technology. Okay, so let's dig into how the EU even defines an AI system, because it's super broad. The words that really jump out here are autonomy and that it infers. This tells you we're not talking about simple software. We're talking about systems that can act on their own, learn from data, and then create outputs, like predictions or content that actually influence the world around us. Right, so who does this brand new rulebook actually apply to? You might think it's just for big tech companies headquartered in Brussels, but whoa, the net it casts is way, way wider than that. And that leads us to the big question you're probably asking yourself right now. Does this thing apply to me, to my company? Well, let's break down the key roles here. The Act lays out four main players. You've got the provider, that's the one who actually builds the AI. Then there's the deployer, the one who uses it in a professional capacity. And of course, you have importers and distributors, who are all about bringing these systems into the market. The key thing to see here is that it's a full supply chain approach, so you really need to figure out where you might fit in. And here we go. This is probably the single most important thing for anyone listening outside of Europe. Even if your company is based in, say, California or Tokyo, if the output from your AI system is used inside the EU, this law applies to you. That's called extraterritorial scope, and it is a massive game changer for AI development all over the world. Okay, so how does the Act actually work? Well, it's pretty smart. It doesn't treat every single piece of AI the same way. Instead, it uses a risk-based approach, and the easiest way to picture it is as a pyramid. Right at the tippy top of the pyramid, you've got unacceptable risk AI. That stuff is just banned, period. Step down a level and you get to high-risk AI, which has a ton of strict rules. Below that, limited risk systems, which are mostly about being transparent. And then the huge base of the pyramid is minimal risk. That's where most AI will be with no new rules at all. The higher the risk, the tougher the regulation. Make sense, right? So let's start at the very top of that pyramid, with the AI practices the EU has decided are just so dangerous to our values that they are completely forbidden. This covers stuff that feels, well, fundamentally manipulative. Things like AI that could subliminally cause you harm or exploit people's vulnerabilities. It also flat out bans government-run social scoring systems. And check this out, notice the focus on biometrics. Things like scraping the entire internet for faces to build a database, or using emotion reading AI in sensitive spots like a school or your job. Totally off the table. The EU is drawing a very clear line in the sand here. All right, moving down the pyramid, we hit the category that is going to impact the most businesses for sure: high-risk AI. This is where the real regulatory muscle of the Act kicks in. So what exactly makes an AI system high risk? Well, the Act basically splits them into two main buckets, and it is super important to know the difference. The first group is pretty straightforward. If an AI is a safety feature in a product that's already covered by EU safety laws, we're talking cars, medical devices, elevators, even toys, then that AI is automatically considered high risk. Simple as that. Now, this second group is all about context. It's about AI systems used in specific, sensitive areas listed in the Act. So think about AI used to make hiring decisions, or to decide who gets into a university, or for things like law enforcement and managing our power grids. These are all areas where a bad AI decision could have a massive impact on someone's life. But hold on a second. Just because an AI is used in one of those sensitive areas, does that automatically make it high risk? Well, not exactly. And this is a really important detail. Basically, the Act says that if the system is just doing something preparatory, like, say, sorting documents for a human to review later, or if it's just helping improve something a person already did, then it might not be considered high risk after all. It really shows that what the AI actually does is what matters most. Okay, so let's say you've done your homework, you've gone through the checks, and yep, your AI system is definitely high risk. What happens now? Well, before you can even dream of launching it in the EU, there's a whole checklist of things you have to do. And this slide really lays out the major hoops you got to jump through. We're talking about a serious quality management system, keeping super detailed technical documents, and this one's crucial, making sure a human can always step in and take over. Then there's the official stuff. You have to perform an assessment to prove you followed the rules, sign off on it, and then register your system in a public EU database. It's a lot for sure, but it's all designed to build safety and trust right from the start. So, when you take a step back and look at the whole thing, what you're seeing is way more than just another law. The EU has basically written the world's first real rulebook for AI. People call this the Brussels effect, where EU rules are so comprehensive that they end up becoming the standard for the rest of the world. And that leaves us with one final massive question. The EU has planted its flag and set a really high bar for what it means to build trustworthy AI. The question now is, what happens next? Will other countries copy this playbook? Will this become the global standard by default? The whole world is watching, and believe me, the next chapter in the story of AI is just getting started.